Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's telephone town hall. I'm Adam Hardiman with the Wood Buffalo Recovery Task Force, and I'll be your moderator again this evening. Thank you for being with us for our 10th telephone town hall that has seen thousands of you join us so far. Before we begin, if you are on a cell phone and your call gets dropped, you can rejoin us by streaming it at rmwb.ca/townhall. At this time, I'd like to turn things over to Jeanette Bankars, Chair of the Wood Buffalo Recovery Committee, for a brief introduction.
Thank you, Adam. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. The Wood Buffalo Recovery Committee and Task Force, in collaboration with the Government of Alberta, Council, municipal staff, and many of our partners, continues to be here for you as we work together to help the community recover. As a team, we'd like to thank you for your continued strength, resilience, and patience, and for supporting your neighbors through this challenging time. I'd like to introduce you to tonight's participants. From the Wood Buffalo Recovery Committee, we have Councillor Alan Vinney and Committee Member Marty Giles. From the Wood Buffalo Recovery Task Force and the municipality, we have Dana Woodworth, Recovery Task Force Team Lead, Aaron O'Neill, Recovery Branch Lead, Andrea Haley, Economic Development Officer. And also joining us are Alberta Government Municipal Affairs Alison Scott, from Alberta Health Services David Mateer and Deborah Samick, from the Canadian Red Cross Melanie Salaire, and from the Insurance Bureau of Canada Rob Dupree and Dave Johnson. Last Thursday at Shell Place at McDonald Island and at Vista Ridge and Sapre Creek, we held our latest pair of public engagement sessions. At Shell Place, the session focused on the waterways issue, while at Vista Ridge, we gathered with you to discuss tree removal and other recovery-related issues. Thanks again to the hundreds of you for taking the time to join us, and we look forward to continuing the conversation this week. This continued dialogue and the ideas you provide will help guide our vision of recovery and will drive our decision-making. This week, please join us on Wednesday at 6 p.m. for the next public meeting of the Wood Buffalo Recovery Committee in Council Chambers at the Jubilee Centre. You can view the agenda for the meeting at rmwb.ca. If you can't make it, the meeting is streamed online at rmwb.ca and is broadcast live on Shaw TV, Fort McMurray. On Thursday from 4 to 8 p.m., we are here for you at our next community engagement session at Shell Place and McDonald Island. This week's session will focus on the permitting process, and we will also be there to answer any general recovery questions you might have. Please check rmwb.ca/engage for the latest times and locations for community engagement sessions. Now, I'd like to update you on some of the areas that we received the most questions about on last week's town hall, at our community engagement sessions, and on social media and through the Pulse line. On waterways. Again, thank you to the hundreds of waterways residents that joined us at Shell Place last Thursday to discuss recovery issues and give us input on what you'd like to see us pursue as an approach to recovery and rebuilding for waterways. In response to the flooding in Alberta in 2013, the municipality passed a land use bylaw amendment requiring any new development in waterways must meet a new standard for flood protection. Waterways also remains a restricted area based on the recommendation of the Chief Medical Officer of Health. We continue to work with Council, municipal staff, and our partners at the Government of Alberta to deliver an approach that would allow us to move forward given the complex issues we're all working through together. If you couldn't join us last week, you can view the live presentation and question and answer session at rmwb.ca. We also invite Waterways residents to call the Pulse line at 780-743-7000 to answer the Waterways survey that was available at the engagement session. On interim housing support, the Wood Buffalo Housing and Development Corporation is now accepting applications on behalf of the Government of Alberta for interim family housing. Details of the application process, eligibility, a tough word, and available financial assistance are outlined on the provincial recovery website at alberta.ca/wildfire-recovery. For those of you who are interested and would like more information, there is also a demonstration home set up at the Youth Assessment Center, which is located at 180 Mackenzie Boulevard. It is open from noon to 7:30, Monday to Friday, and from noon to 4 p.m. on Saturdays. Staff are available to help you complete applications or answer any questions you may have. If you are outside the region, you can apply by contacting the Wood Buffalo Housing and Development Corporation at 780-743-4140. On demolition and rebuilding. Significant progress has been made on demolition and debris cleanup. As of yesterday, 1,471 demolition permit applications had been received, and 1,425 permits had been issued. 297 post-demolition inspections have been completed, and 62 rebuild development permits have been approved. Construction is underway. If you haven't already, we encourage you to apply for your demolition permit as soon as possible so the community can meet the September 30th deadline for removal and disposal of all tackified debris, ash, soil, and other hazards. Once debris has been removed, the process for Phase 2 re-entry to green or standing homes in Abbotsand and Beacon Hill will begin. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeanette. Remember, everyone out there, to ask a question, press *3 on your phone's keypad and give your question to the operator. If you are joining us online, please type your question into the question field at rmwb.ca/townhall. Before we move on, I'd like to ask Rob Dupree from the Insurance Bureau of Canada for a brief update. Rob, go ahead.
Thank you, Adam, and thank you to everyone who's listening in today. IBC continues to be available both in Fort McMurray and by phone and email to provide support, guidance, and assistance when you have questions about insurance. We have consumer information officers that can help answer your general insurance questions. They can be reached at 1-844-227-5422 or via email at fortmacfire, that's FORTMACFIRE, at ibc.ca. For face-to-face discussions, Dave Johnson from IBC, who's sitting with me today, is available at the Back to Business Resource Center in Fort McMurray, located at 9816 Hardin Street in the Hardin Street building. Dave is there every weekday between 10 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. to help answer your questions. Commonly asked question that we have fielded recently is, what happens to my land if I choose a cash settlement? Your insurance policy typically does not cover the land. If you are the owner of the land, you will remain the owner of the land. The land does not transfer to your insurance company in a cash settlement situation. This frequently asked question and many others are located on our website at ibc.ca. Click on the Fort McMurray and surrounding area link for additional details and additional resources.
Well, thank you so much, Rob, and thank you again to IBC. As always, we will do our best to answer your questions, so let's get started. Remember, folks, to press *3 when you're looking to ask a question, and an operator will take your question, or you can type your question into the question field at rmwb.ca/townhall. So we're going to start out online tonight. This one is from Joanne, and she's asking, I'm rebuilding my home. Why do I need to complete a builder declaration form before I can get a building permit? So first I'm going to go to a representative with Municipal Affairs, Allison Scott. Allison, if you could take that for us, please.
Yes, thanks for the question. The program you're referring to is the Enhanced Builder Information Program with the New Home Buyer Protection Office at Municipal Affairs. The requirements apply to anyone who's looking to build or rebuild a home in the regional municipality of Wood Buffalo. So builders need to complete a form which asks questions about their history, some financial indicators, that sort of thing. And the intention here is to collect information that will help residents make more informed decisions when they choose a builder to build or rebuild their home. So the intention here is really supporting builder accountability to their clients as well as consumer protection support. So more pointedly to answer the question that was asked, if you are building your own home and you have you intend to obtain a warranty, you have a warranty in place on that home, by completing the declaration, you're actually in a position to not just build your own home. You could build homes for others if, in fact, you are a builder. And you would also be able to sell your home within the next 10 years because you have the warranty in place. So with that declaration in place, it's available for anyone to review down the road if the home was to be sold. And so it provides that ability to help protect the next person.
Well, thank you so much for that, Allison, and thank you, Joanne, for the question. We're going to stay online. We have a bunch of questions online as the questions continue to roll in on the phone. This question is from Norman, and it's about some mortgage deferral. So I'm going to go ahead and read the question. He's asking, could someone please give me an update if any progress has been made with regards to the Canadian Bankers Association and mortgage deferral? So I'm going to go to, I guess, both Councillor Vinnie as well as Marty Giles for this one, if we could, on the committee. Okay, go ahead, guys. Okay, Councillor Vinnie, go ahead first.
Yes, thanks, Adam, and to Norm and everybody else. Just a little background on this. I just want to give a full answer to this issue of the Canadian Bankers Association. First of all, just in case there's any lingering confusion, this is not, repeat, not the Bank of Canada. Bank of Canada has nothing to do with this. They handle Canada's monetary policy, setting overnight interest rates, printing money, monitoring exchange rates, things like that. So the Canadian Bankers Association is an association advocating for banks and working on policy initiatives that they promote to their banking members, of which there are 57 banks as members. However, they do also look at ways banks can do positive things for their customers. So they need to be a group that we are connected to. I am going to Southern Ontario Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday for the quarterly meetings of the Federation of Canadian Municipalities. So piggybacking on that, I have a meeting planned with a couple fellows from the Canadian Bankers Association in Toronto on Friday, just to touch base with them. They have heard from a number of people in this municipality. They have had a committee stood up since very early after the fire event. So they continue to be involved with monitoring the situation. So there really are two aspects of what I think they have been saying and will say. They and we here should keep pushing out to people the need to keep going to your lender and keep asking them to work with you to find a way that will make it so you can handle, your financial situation from month to month. And, quite frankly, we've been talking about that for at least 3 months. And, if that hasn't been clear to people that you should go to your local bank or lender, or if they aren't local, get them on the phone, whatever, and just keep working with them. By and large, I think a lot of people's experience with that has been positive. There are a lot of lenders who are willing to look at doing things to help you stay in the game, as it were, and that is all fine and good. But for me, the real issue is what is the financing going to look like when it comes time to rebuild, and especially for people who are significantly underinsured or completely uninsured. On that point, addressing that, I'm not sure that there is going to be a lot that the Canadian Bankers Association, or quite frankly even the commercial lenders, can do, but I'm not going to prejudge that. We're going to keep talking to them and working with them to see what they can do. But when it comes time to rebuild and people find themselves, you could find yourself $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 short if you have limited insurance or no insurance. It will be all great that you hung in there, but that will be a huge challenge. And on that, we have a very good committee that has met a couple of times. I'll call it an ad hoc committee. On that committee is Crystal from Habitat for Humanity, Matt from Red Cross, Jeanette Bankars and Kim Jenkins from our recovery committee, Colin Hartigan from the real estate sector, Greg Elsasser, the interim president and CEO of Wood Buffalo Housing and Development Corporation, and hope I'm not leaving anybody out on that. I think that's pretty much all of us. I apologize if I'm leaving anybody out, but we are looking at and talking about the spectrum of people from those with no insurance to those who may need a little bit of assistance in getting their home repaired or rebuilt, given that they're only short of a small amount of financial resources. And I can tell you that I think we have a number of good ideas on that I really don't think I have authority to go into detail, but it will involve Wood Buffalo Housing Development Corporation playing a role in that, and I undertake to report back to everybody as the ideas of that committee are more crystallized and we have something definitive to propose to people about what we might be able to do. But it's going to need a lot of contemplation by the recovery committee and by council. But as for the Canadian Bankers Association, like I say, I will be meeting with them. We are prepared to have a full and frank discussion of ideas and what they possibly can do, pushing out ideas to their membership, and I will report back on next Monday on that. So I hope that goes partially towards answering questions people had about Canadian Bankers Association. Thank you.
Hey, Norm, it's Marty here, and if you're the same Norm that I've been talking to all week, thanks for bringing some of the residents to us. I would say this about, we've had some wins this week, I would say, one in particular. We have one bank, I can't really say who it is because I don't want to look like we're trying to, endorse one bank over another bank. The CBA is kind of like our friends over here at IBC. They're like a regulatory sort of body, but they can't really make people do anything. However, what we do need to do is we need to understand it is a competitive market out there. My friends in the different banks are actually looking for solutions for the people in Fort McMurray. One bank has come up with a solution where they've given 3 or 4 months of no payments, and then, for example, if your house is burnt down, as soon as you actually submit your reconstruction plans, they will actually have a 2 years interest-only program out there. And that bank, I know, is working actively in all kinds of different situations. They're looking at a situation where someone wants to maybe buy out their duplex neighbor and rebuild again. So the banking industry is competitive. I would go out there. I would actually shop around just like it's your first mortgage, and there's some banks out there that'll doing a good job with that. If, for example, your bank won't work with you, and then you've rented up to the supervisor, what we really need is we need really specific examples sent to this email, and the email is recovery@rmwb.ca. Because when I talked with the CBA this week, they said we need some examples. We need to have some patterns. And when there's some patterns, we can do it. But right now, the CBA, in fairness to them, has not got enough information from us in the municipality to actually act on anything. So please do that. And also, Norm, if it's you, if you want to send it to any of those situations to me, and we can scrub the names. I know it's kind of sensitive and so on. We'll push them through because we are keeping a big scorecard of these issues. And once we have 10 situations maybe, and we have a certain kind of a pattern, then we can reach out to our friends at the CBA, and they've told me to be more than happy to help. So make sure that you stick with those lenders, try and get creative, and don't be afraid to shop around because if someone's not out there taking your business right now, there's others that are actually actively looking to actually capitalize on this market where maybe not unfairness, but they really want to make a statement and be the fair lender in Fort McMurray.
Well, thank you very much, Norm, for the question. Thank you, Councillor Vinnie and Marty, for the response. We're going to go on now, and before we do that, remember to press *3 to ask a question, and one of our great operators will take your question, or you can type your question into the question field at rmwb.ca/townhall. We're going to go to the phones for a question. This one is from Teresa. Teresa, are you there? Hi, Teresa.
Yes, hello? Hello?
Hello. Hi.
Can you hear me? Perfect.
Yes, I can hear you. Go right ahead.
Perfect. My question is regarding the Canadian Red Cross $600 per school-age child that is I've read about and seen offered. I'm wondering if that is for everyone in Fort McMurray or if it is to be utilized only in the event of financial hardship.
Well, thank you so much for the question. I'll go to Melanie Solaire with the Canadian Red Cross. Melanie, I'll give you a heads up. We have some other questions that are Red Cross related coming in online. So after you answer that one, I'll give you the follow-ups that have come in online, and maybe you can just give the whole Red Cross package. So go right ahead.
Thank you so much. Thanks for your question. The Back to School Financial Support Program originally began with the United Way Backpack Program, whereby vulnerable children were identified through the United Way channels, and we supplemented the Backpack Program with the $600. Upon recognizing that there were many more vulnerable families, we invited families to come into our Hardin Street office or our Edmonton office, and we actually had an expedited method for families to identify as financially vulnerable, thus qualifying them for the Back to School Financial Assistance Program, also of $600. If you're out of the province, out-of-province assessments are also happening upon self-identification of financial vulnerability. If you're out of the province and you would like Back to School Financial Assistance, you can call 1-888-350-6070 to reach a Red Cross office who can provide that financial support for back to school out of province.
Thank you so much, Teresa, for the question. Melanie, I'm going to keep you right there because we have a few questions on our online portion coming in related to Red Cross, I would say. So the first one is a question from Sarah, and then there's also a question from Ryan, so I'll combine them, and I'm sure you'll be able to help out. Sarah's asking, she's looking for financial assistance for housing and other needs. Who do I contact? How can I best access the Red Cross? Do I need an appointment? And then there's a question from Ryan asking, are the debit cards still available? So maybe you can give us an update.
Sure. We provide financial assistance upon confidential client assessment at our Fort McMurray office, in our Calgary and Edmonton offices, and again, by calling the number 1-888-350-6070. Out-of-province clients can still make appointments and receive financial assistance as well. Appointments are required. There are walk-in appointments available at Hardin for urgent cases, and we're hoping to expand our capacity in Fort McMurray in the coming weeks to see more clients face-to-face. We have opened a second call center. We have a housing-specific call center that can do urgent and immediate housing needs, and we've also opened a call center whereby we can expedite some of the booked calls that we already have happening in Fort McMurray. In regards to the debit cards, we have several modalities in which we can provide financial assistance to clients. When we do over-the-phone assistance, we are using the electronic funds transfer modality because there is no requirement for face-to-face interaction other than electronically providing validation, such as identification or mortgage or rent agreements. For the back-to-school program, for instance, we did use preloaded MasterCards, and we can also use vouchers and gift cards for other vendors. So we do use a variety of modalities depending on the circumstance and the situation and the chosen vendor.
Well, thank you so much, Melanie. And I'm going to go, Marty, to you just in a second, but we had another question on something that Melanie had previously talked about that just came in. So a clarification on your first piece on the school program. Is it per child or is it per family?
So it is up to $600 per child, and what that is that is our standard assistance guideline. So it includes our standard assistance guideline for school supplies. What we've done is we've bundled together our standard guideline for school supplies, food, clothing, and recreation. And when you bundle all those 4 components together, you do get $600 per child.
Thanks so much, Melanie, for that clarification. I know Marty Giles wanted to weigh in on housing as well.
I just want to go back to Sarah about housing as well. There's 2 different ways. We have our interim housing, which is the trailers that have come from the government of Alberta, where obviously Melanie and her team can help support what the rent is on that. The other thing is we found out last week is there are, through this is as of last week, I'm not sure what the inventory levels right now are, but Wood Buffalo Housing as of last Wednesday night had 28 1-bedrooms, 63 2-bedrooms, and 22 3-bedroom units where you could actually qualify for gap housing. So that might be it's a case-by-case basis to reduce it. Those are pet-friendly units as well. So again, if you're out renting in the marketplace or the trailers that are coming from the GOA, you can pay the market rent and go to the Red Cross for help. Or if Wood Buffalo Housing, which their phone number, by the way, is 743-4140, or Wood Buffalo Housing Development, you can Google online. They can see what those inventory levels are now and then what your rent would be based on your personal situation. So there's, I guess, more than one way to maybe skin the cat, either to get housing or to actually get help with housing if you qualify. Well,
thanks for the question, Sarah, and thanks, Marty, and thank you, Melanie, for that barrage of questions we just gave you. But we know you're doing everything you can as a Red Cross to help our residents, so we appreciate that across the community. Going to go to the phone lines once again. Jason, has he left? Okay, we know that Jason has actually fallen off the system, but I'll ask the question anyway because we do have it down. Jason was saying he's an Avocen resident. There's a bear. First I thought it was something else, but we mean the animal close to the camper. I've asked for help but received none. What should I do? I'm going to go to Erin O'Neill, our recovery branch lead, to take that one. Erin?
Thanks, Adam. So for any bear sightings in the municipality, you can contact the Fish and Wildlife Office, and their phone number is 780-743-7200, and they will have representatives dispatched to take care of those bears in the area.
Well, thank you, Erin, for that, and thank you, Jason, for the question. We're going to go back online, and this question came in, and it's a bit of a long one, but I think it's a good one. So I know it's going to probably be a 2-parter between IBC and I know, Marty, you saw it earlier as well as it came in. So this question is from Ted. He's saying, I'm a property owner that had my structure insured for what he's calling a large sum of money. In fact, when we asked for this coverage, the insurance company didn't believe it, so they sent up an appraiser to take photos. Then over time, they kept upping the premium as inflation happened and came back a few years later and viewed it again. They confirmed that the rebuild would cost this much, took a bunch of pictures, and continued to work with me as the higher premiums became part of what was happening. Now that I've had a fire, they put it upon me to once again prove that the structure would cost that much to build. I'm working with an appraiser, trying to remember every light fixture and nail in my house, but as you can imagine, it's difficult. Why are the earlier pictures not enough and the premium they collected not enough to pay for my rebuild? So first I'm going to go to Rob Dupree with the Insurance Bureau of Canada, and then I'm going to go to Marty Giles, who wanted to weigh in as well. So go ahead, Rob.
And that's a great question, and thank you for the question. In a general sense, without knowing the specific details of the construction of the home, when you initially get your insurance policy, they ask you some general questions about the size and the condition and the quality of items that are inside of the actual home, but they don't do a very exceptional detailed analysis for what would be required when you get to the rebuild stage. Once a loss happens, and it sounds like in this case it was a total loss, and I'm very sorry for that situation if the house was damaged, you need to be looking at the actual rebuild cost. And in order to determine the rebuild cost, the adjuster needs to be working with you and may need to have an appraiser involved to start going through all the details. There are pictures, but since the actual policy application and the time of the claim, there could have been some changes. So it's in your best interest to be working with your insurance company and work with your adjuster to ensure that everything is accurate so that they can be determining the appropriate rebuild valuation to ensure that when you do proceed with your rebuild, that you can be put back into the same position that you were in prior to the actual loss.
I think where this is a little bit different, Rob, though, is that the citizen actually wanted to pay for the premium. The insurance company took the pictures, not him. They accepted the premium very happily since 2005. Then in 2009, they came up again and took pictures, and they very happily increased the premium because it was an inflationary thing, and they charged him more. And then this resident has pictures just before the fire, like as they were going out. So now the insurance company's taken 2 pictures. The insurance company has happily accepted the premium for 11 years, and they have pictures the day before the fire, and they're still asked to prove it. Why accept the premium if they didn't believe it when they took the pictures, is Ted's question.
Yeah, and that's a great question on that. In a situation like this, it sounds like there needs to be a bit of dialogue between what the current situation is and getting into the specific details. So what I would encourage Ted to do is to reach out to one of our consumer information officers. They can be reached at 1-844-2-ASK-IBC, and they will be able to assist to get a few more details, find out about the insurance company, and have a conversation with the actual adjuster. Also, on our website at ibc.ca, we do have information on what happens if you disagree with your adjuster. The first step is to ask your adjuster for an explanation. If there is something going on, you have a right to know why they're asking for this information. You can also be reaching out to one of the claims supervisors or managers and ask them for clarification. If there is a specific question, I would encourage you to provide a very concise question as to what exactly you're looking for and what the process would be for resolution that you are hoping for in that particular matter. There's a number of more formalized processes that are outlined on our website that talk about the formal dispute resolution process as well. And I'll encourage you to take a look at that section in our frequently asked questions on ibc.ca.
Well, thank you so much, Ted, for the question, and thank you, Rob, as well as Marty, for that valuable insight. We're going to go back to the phone lines. We're going to go to Rocky. Rocky, are you there?
Yes, hello.
Hi, how you doing?
Very good.
Go right
yeah,
ahead.
I had a question for about waterways. Yeah, in Parmican Park.
You go right ahead with your question.
Yeah, okay. Well, it was in a flood zone before. So before any rebuilding is done, why wouldn't you come in on grade from Tolan Road and elevate the whole property?
Well, thank you, Rocky, for the question, and certainly following our engagement session with Waterways residents last week, certainly a question that has been asked among a number of other issues, we're going to go to Erin O'Neill, our recovery branch leader. She can take that one for us. Erin, go right ahead.
Thank you, Adam, and thank you, Rocky, for the questions. We are looking at a flood mitigation solution for the overall lower town site waterways, including Ptarmigan Court. So we are looking at currently the demountable wall system to protect the entire area from that. We have asked the question about, from the residents the other night about doing, whether they would like to see the status quo or potentially internal land swaps or external land swaps. So we do encourage any residents from waterways to complete that survey, and you can call Pulse Line to do that at 780-743-7000. However, I do want to say that residents in Ptarmigan Court, once the restriction is lifted on the rebuilding and waterways, which is going to council for consideration on September the 20th, residents living in that area can apply for permits. They just have to flood-proof that. So they have to ensure that their mobile is raised above that 250-meter contour level and provide engineering documentation to suggest how that is being done. So there is ways to go forward even before that flood mitigation plan has been worked out.
Well, thank you very much, Erin, for the engagement update as well, for the answer, and thank you, Rocky, for that excellent question. We are going to go back to the online portion, but I'll remind everybody, if they're looking to ask a question, press star 3, and an operator, one of our great operators out there, will take your question, or you can type any question you might have into the question field online at rmwb.ca/townhall. We're going to go back online, like I said, and this question is from Ron, and Aaron, this one will be for you in a recovery branch. He's asking what's going on with specs and the remaining work in Stone Creek, but maybe a way to go off that as well is to speak about the demolition process in general, what we could expect to see in terms of timelines and what could happen after September 30th. Go right ahead.
Thank you, Adam, and thank you, Ron, for the question. To date, 1,474 demolition applications have been received, and 1,438 of those permits have been issued. Specs is working on the plan all over the city on that coordinated approach. We have put a demolition order against all of the properties that ash and debris is cleaned up by September 30th. If that ash and debris is not cleaned up by September 30th, the municipality will be going in and cleaning up that area. We anticipate that will take the month of October, so that all that cleanup will be done by the end of October. The municipality has put out a request for a proposal, or RFP as we refer to it, to hire a contractor to do that work, and that RFP does close this week so that we are able to engage a contractor prior to the October 1st deadline so that we can hit the ground running on October 1st, so we do have that ash and debris cleaned up.
Well, thank you very much for the question, Ron. Thank you, Aaron. And we'll move back to the phones for our next question. Question is from Michael. Michael, are you there?
Yes, I am.
How are you tonight? Michael.
Pretty good.
Hi, Michael. We're with you, sir.
Yeah. Okay, am I there now?
We can totally hear you.
Okay. My question is, sorry about that. It's not tending as severe, unfortunately, for the people in waterways in Abasand. But for those of us that are all in the green belt, our biggest concern is going to hit next spring during the breakup. All of our natural and previous irrigation for the water to not come into our yards for flooding has now been all disarrayed and is completely gone. So after this year's, what they're predicting, heavy snowfall in winter, we're going to have a lot of flooding up here attributed to no irrigation properly put in place before the end of this year and the winter begins.
Well, thanks, Michael, for the question, and thanks for joining us. It's an excellent question as we move on into the winter months. I'm going to go back to Erin O'Neill, our recovery branch lead. Erin, go right ahead.
Thanks, Adam, and thank you, Michael, for the question. Our operations team in recovery has contracted a consulting team to do an overall drainage plan of all the fire break areas. So we are putting those in place. We have been up in the areas regularly to monitor the water pooling in those areas, and we are putting that drainage plan into place so that we won't have concern over flooding in those areas and to remove that water pooling from all of those fire break areas.
Well, thanks so much, Michael, for the question, and thank you, Aaron. We're going to go back to the phones. Mario, are you there?
Hello, is that for Mario?
Yeah, Mario, how you doing?
Good, how are you guys?
Good. Go right ahead, sir.
Listen, I appreciate you guys doing this again. It's been a couple of weeks since you did this, but I have a pretty big concern about my property in Beacon Hill, and it's a two-parter question. First of all, I spoke to. I'm sorry I missed the meeting the other day at the town hall, but I was going to voice my question to the committee, and I would put it to them now that I did environmental testing on my property, and it came back heavy in dioxins. Now, it was explained to me by my environmental scientist that the dioxins are not biodegradable, and they just sit in the soil, and they are a carcinogen. Now, if it's in my lawn and my property, my insurance company will not cover the remediation of it, as they only cover my structure, and I'm sure that's the same case for everybody else. Now, my question is the city going to be remediating the lawn and property in the public areas? And the second part of my question is, what are they going to do to help the homeowners who are in the same situation?
Hi there. Thanks so much for the question. We're going to keep going. That's a very good question. Certainly something that's been on the mind of a lot of residents. We're going to go to Dana Woodworth, our recovery interim team lead. Dana, please.
Thanks for the question, Mario. And it's two parts, so I'll try and address both. But in the first instance, not having seen your the analysis of the soil sampling, I would just offer to you we would like to. So we'll find a way to connect with you, and I'll leave that with Adam to make sure that we have the ability to connect with you and actually see the results. And I say that because in terms of what we, the municipality and the government of Alberta, have seen probably differs, it sounds like. So between June 2nd and June 19th, about 62 soil samples were collected across the burned areas. They were analyzed for a number of different elements, and I won't go through them all, but essentially they were analyzed against what's called Alberta Tier 1, which is ecological and human health. And these guidelines are generally what most toxicologists and agrologists would use to make an informed decision. I am neither a toxicologist or an agrologist, so I'll just read what the preliminary assessment of the soil data from burned and unburned areas indicates right off the alberta.ca website, and we'll give you that as well. So bullet 1, it says, none of the soil samples in any area, this is our testing, burned or unburned, showed an exceedance of human health guidelines for Tier 1, for Tier 2. It talked about elevated salinity results, fair to poor soil quality, may affect plant growth but not human health. The third point, there was no indication of metals impact in any community garden soil samples. And the fourth point, fairly important, all hydrocarbon concentrations were below human health guidelines. And the last was a concern around low-level concentrations of polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons in 12 samples from unburned areas, and 5 from burned exceeded ecological guidelines, but did not exceed any human health-based guidelines. So that's the information that we have gathered from our sampling. So I'm not trying to dismiss what you're saying. In fact, I'm interested in it. So obviously we planned our remediation based on our soil sampling to date and the results of that and the best advice from our scientists. So in that light, we have actually taken off about 2 inches of soil to deal with the structural ash and the residue around the burned areas, which was the advice we were given for proper remediation. There will be consideration of another round of testing, primarily for the public spaces. And no, we had not contemplated doing individual homes. But having said that, I'm still interested in connecting with you and seeing your sample and trying to better understand your concerns. So I hope that helps.
Thanks so much for the question, Mario. Thank you, Dana. And I'll also remind our listeners and Mario as well, they can always email recovery@rmwb.ca with any information they might have. And certainly we'll take that into consideration as we move forward. We'll also get your, sorry, Dana, we'll make sure to get your phone number as well from the list on the call-in. We'll reach out to you directly. So thank you, Mario. We're going to go back to the phones. This question is from Art. Art, are you there?
Yes.
Hi, sir. How you doing?
Not too bad. Yourselves?
Pretty good. Go right ahead with your question.
I have a house that I just bought up in Beacon Hill, and I have a self-employed roofing company. Am I allowed to reestablish my roofing company back in Beacon Hill, or do I have to find a new place?
Thanks so much for the question, Art, and it's great that you're looking to get back in business. Certainly, it's a big component of our recovery. First, I'm going to go to Andrea Haley with Economic Development, then I'm going to go to Aaron O'Neill, our Recovery Branch Lead. Okay, actually, we're going to go the other way. So we're going to go to Aaron first and then Andrea. So go right ahead, guys.
Thank you, Adam, and thank you, Art, for the question. Art, provided that you are located in the Phase 1 Green Home Reentry Plan in Beacon Hill, you can be occupying that residence and operating your business out of that residence, provided you have all the proper business licensing permits and those types of things that I'm sure Andrea will fill you in on. Thanks.
Hi, Art. Thank you so much for your question and calling in tonight. Just further to Aaron's comments, if you have all of the proper documentation that you need from municipality, and so we encourage you to go into the Planning and Development Office in Timberley Landing on 309 Powder Drive, and you can go in and speak with someone to make sure that you have your business licensing and all the information, and then you are welcome to operate your business. As well as a resource for you, you can go to the Back to Business Resource Center located at 9816 Hardin Street in the Hardin Street building and get more assistance there for reopening your business after the fires. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much for the question, Art. Thank you, Aaron and Andrea, for the question. Sorry for the answer. Going to go back to the phones. We're just looking back over at the... Sorry, it's got Kevin. Are you there? Kevin.
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Go right ahead with the question, sir. We know it's a good one.
Okay, so I know there's a deadline of September 30th for the cleanups of the properties, the debris removal, and after that, I guess the city says they will go in and proceed to clean it up. But what about those who have already gone through the permit process, the application process, and we're just waiting for specs to show up to do the job?
Thank you, Kevin, for the question. We're going to go to Andrew Ross with specs, who can take that one.
Thank you, Kevin, for your question. I can't speak to what happens after September 30th deadline. That would be an RMWB question. However, I will be able to speak to a bit of an update on the mass demolition project that is underway. Currently, the contractor has over 800 active sites. We've removed 2,100 metric tons of steel that has been removed for recycling. We've removed 26,000 metric tons of ash and debris to date. We have 30 excavators that are actively working on the cleanup 7 days a week at 24 hours a day, thanks to the RMWB making that exception in some areas. As well, as late as today, we got confirmation from the contractor that they are scheduled to be completed by September 30th. For further assistance or ongoing updates, please visit our website at www.specs.ca, and you can just click on the Fort McMurray Demolition Info button to see the bar graph of project status.
Well, thank you very much, Andrew, for that. Thanks for the question. We're first going to go to Aaron O'Neill to speak to the RMWB side, the Recovery Task Force side, and then Marty Giles also wanted a quick weigh in. Marty, I'm just warning us on our time here. We're going to go into the last few questions if we can. So.
Hi, Kevin. Just wanted to remind that anyone, I think Specs is saying they are on target for the timeline for September 30th, but for any of those areas that are not cleaned up by September 30th, the municipality will go in and clean up those areas, and then a decision will be made at our council level of whether or not to add that cost to the individual's tax roll.
I think is Kevin still on the line, by the way? Kevin, it's Marty here. I think what Kevin's saying is if Specs can't pull it off by September 30th, and he's done all the stuff he's supposed to do and Specs can't pull it off, then what happens? So let's go back to, I think that was the question more than how hard they're trying.
Correct.
Sorry, Aaron, go right ahead. I don't know, you may, maybe just to solidify that for Marty, solidify that for, okay.
Hi, it's Dana. So I believe Specs has an obligation to complete the cleanup. It's after September 30th. I would expect them to continue to schedule and do it. Obviously, we plan on having that project schedule complete by that time frame, so that is still the objective, the goal. And if you're contracted with specs, that's the desired end state. Prior to September 30th, it's cleaned up.
Well, thank you so much, Dana, for that, and thanks once again for the question. We're going to keep going. How are we on the time here? Just going to take a look over. We have 4 minutes left, so maybe take one more question. Go back to our online portion. We're going to read this one. This question's from Lori. Does the RMWB have any considerations on assisting the, I guess this is total burnt homeowners with financial assistance? And the second part of it I can't really read as well, with both utility complaint costs or discounts per permit. So I guess it's a general piece. So I know Councillor Vinnie's here. We don't have any of our other councillors on the line. I do know a motion is coming forward at council tomorrow night. Notice a motion as for a review for all fees related to development and rebuild. So I know that's coming forward in the public domain. We hope that people will be involved in that conversation. So just a heads up for you, Lori, that is being discussed at the committee and the council level. So I guess that'll be our last question of the night. Thank you again to everyone for joining us, and I'll send things over to our chair of the Wood Buffalo Recovery Committee, Jeanette Bankers, for some closing remarks.
Thanks, Adam. And thank you to the thousands of you that joined us again this evening. As community recovery continues, I hope some of you are able to attend our public meeting on Wednesday and our engagement session coming up on Thursday from 4 till 8 at Shell Place at McDonald Island. For more information, please visit rmwb.ca/engage.
Well, thank you so much, Jeanette, and a reminder to everyone out there, a full audio replay will be available soon at rmwb.ca/townhall. We do recognize that not everyone's question was answered tonight. We thank you for your understanding as we do our best to answer similar questions that may have been submitted throughout the call. We invite you to visit rmwb.ca, call or email Pulse at 780-743-7000, or Pulse at rmwb.ca via email, or you can interact with us on Facebook or Twitter to connect with the municipality. The next telephone town hall is Monday, September 19th at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. Have a good good evening as we remain here for you, safe, resilient, and together. We wish it was a weekend, don't we, everyone? Have a great night. Bye.